where Vogue goes,
Oh, yeah.
the rest of the world follows. And in its long history of first, in this month's edition, it features the magazine's first AI model who's taking part in a brand new ad campaign.
Yeah, so it's an ad within Vogue, isn't it?
Yes, it's not the cover of Vogue or Vogue's artwork itself.
This is what she looks like, but she's not real. Wowza. That hasn't stopped her getting a whole lot of backlash. She doesn't even exist and she's getting backlash.
She's getting
That's
trolled.
the backlash situation nowadays.
That's just life.
She's not real and she's getting backlash.
That's just how it is.
Can we just stop
Stop
with the backlash?
A question that's been asked a lot is, why does she look like she does?
We can ask her creators, Valentina Gonzalez and Andrea Petrescu, who are joining us now. Hello, ladies.
Yes, and alongside them is our very own Ashley James, who says that their AI model represents a dangerous step backwards for women. This is such an interesting story.
Talked about a warning.
We really have. Let's sort of strip it back a little bit. Valentina, tell us first off what exactly an AI model is.
An AI model is a model that we built from scratch with a brand. So, for example, if a brand approaches us or even us as creatives, we designed this model from scratch. We built her eye color, her hair color, her features. We pretty much designed her. The idea of an AI model is that if you have a brand, we can pretty much make a model that represents your brand. So she can be anything, really. For example, her name is Vivienne, by the way. So we name them, we give them a name. An AI model is not only the way she looks, it's also the way she is in her personality. So we think about, like, is she feminine? Is she bold? Is she tall? Like, what is she like? What is her personality? So we try to build her like a character, but we only use her for campaigns, you know, so she doesn't have a life outside of campaigns and photo shoots.
So you two, like, got into... You're both architecture students, aren't you? So how on earth did you find your way into the AI world with this?
So we are not architecture students. We are actually architects now. So we actually met in architecture school.
Oh, I wasn't underselling it. I didn't...
How dare you?
Yeah, so we met in uni. We always talked about having a company together, and then later on we reached out to each other and we decided to start Seraph and Ballora.
And when this sort of, like, when a character comes to life, is that something that you would approach a brand with and say, hey, look, why book a model when we can create you your dream? Or is that something, does a brand give you a brief and say, this is where we want to go and this is who we want to be delivered?
So, no, we've never approached a brand before. This has been organic for us and interest from the public and for brands equally. We just started creating these beautiful women, these beautiful models, and clients have started coming towards us asking if we could place their products into these beautiful campaigns so that our models can wear them. But for companies like Guess and bigger brands, for example, we come together and design a woman that fits the brand identity.
Right. And when you look at sort of, particularly like a company like Guess that have kind of been around for years and always have fabulous campaigns and billboards, etc., why do you think brands are now in the era of creating the goal or creating the model when there are incredible models that could be booked, and I suppose they've been working in that way for years? Why do you think there's a new wave in a brand like that sort of changing the way that they would work and booking kind of natural talent? Is that, I don't know if that's how you would describe it.
Well, it's not like that we are like changing, we are supplementing. So this is not about replacing, this is about working together. So the fact that now we have a new avenue of marketing and we have like new digital models doesn't mean that we cannot coexist in the same design industry.
No, of course, but what would be the reason for them creating a model rather than booking one, traditionally?
They still use their original models, so their campaign schedule never changed. They continue to do exactly the same that they have always done. They just supplement it because a campaign takes a long time to do in real life. Obviously, you need to go in locations, you need to plan for months in advance, you need to get licenses for permissions for where you shoot, location. You have to travel there and arrange everything. And so for us, you build a model and she always exists when you need her. And to build the clothes is a fast process, and so we can place her anywhere in the world
so she can be dressed very quickly.
She can be dressed, well, there is a process, right? So the first process is designing the model, which is a design process. We are talking with the creative director of the brands, and we're defining, okay, what's your brand DNA? how are we going to create a model that represents you?
Yeah.
So, for example, you were saying earlier, why does she look the way she looks? Is because it represents the brand. If we were working with a brand that had models that were more different, inclusive, or different features, then we will do that. So it's all to do with
it's all right. It's your client, and your client's
Yeah,
asking
exactly.
what you get. So this is
We're like a tool,
co-founder
right?
Paul Marciano. That's what he asked for. Ash, what's your main concern with this?
So I think, speaking as someone who is a woman, was a teenage girl growing up with, a different set of unrealistic beauty standards, also someone who is now a mother, looking at what my daughter might grow up seeing, I think we saw this really beautiful period from around 2015 to really recently, where we were seeing much more diversity, and that was body diversity, that was lots of different, plus size models. We just saw representation of all different types of people, different races, disabled models, trans models, and now we're seeing this overall shift backwards. And I see it online as well, influencers get a lot of criticism, but actually it was really an industry that helped women build themselves up and create financial independence or work alongside motherhood. And now we're seeing AI models come in. So young girls and women, but especially young girls and men, are now comparing themselves to people who don't even exist. It's a fantasy. And typically what we're seeing is a lot of these AI models, because a lot of the tech from AI was created by men, it's this very male gaze fantasy of a woman.
Right.
And also it's very Eurocentric, a Eurocentric ideal of beauty. So they've got the big boobs and the small waist and the blonde hair and the blue eyes. And, it's really concerning because it does feel like we have taken a step backwards. And we see that with, the rise in Ozempic. There's many less plus-size models being booked for modelling jobs in general. But it's we're now comparing ourselves to people who don't even exist. And then I'm thinking about it from, someone who was a model. I remember in 2015 when I stopped allowing photographers to Photoshop me because it was having a really damaging effect on my own sense of self when I was looking at myself back, not represented how I was, because it was making me feel like maybe I do need to thin my waist. But also I felt like I had a responsibility for the future generation to not look like I didn't look.
Yeah. Do you think there's... Because, often with these things, and I know there was kind of a movement in that direction, but it seems to be pulled back again, in my opinion. But do you think it should come with a disclaimer? Because the idea of seeing an image like that, unless we were having this conversation, to be completely honest with you, I wouldn't know that was AI. I mean, it's that good, and you're brilliant at what you both do. However, if you are seeing that and you are comparing yourself to something that actually isn't realistic because it isn't real, should it come with a disclaimer for consumers to understand that isn't...
There's an argument even for campaigns to declare whether they use filters or Photoshop. And, we see it, there's been campaigns on social media to be like, if you're using filters, you need to declare it. And again, remember, lots of these filters, which have been created by tech, glamorise Eurocentric features. So they make your nose look smaller and your eyes look bigger. But now where we don't even know what's real or not, and we're seeing it, actually, what's really frightening is we're seeing it not only on Instagram, but also OnlyFans and, porn AI models. So we're basically going back to this period where men are also consuming visions of women which aren't real and obviously are beautiful and are obedient and, don't answer back. So it's a really frightening time.
It's so interesting.
I also do just want to quickly say, remember, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry full of creatives. So you've got makeup artists, stylists, and we've already seen how tech is kind of replacing people, whether that's on trains or in supermarkets. I feel like this is kind of the point of capitalism, where we're going to end up with very few people actually being able to work for profit.
But to be fair, girls, you would say, I was just reading here, you're still employing a photographer and you're still employing... What I was confused about, you're still employing a model to base the model on. Is that right?
No,
that's not how it works.
Oh, good, because that was messing with scrambling in my head a little bit.
There is 2 points to touch in here about the beauty standards. We have obviously tried to do different types of beauty when it comes to our social media. We have tested the engagement. Something that we do in our company is that we are constantly checking how public responds to our content. Because we're a business, right? We need to get engagement because that converts. That's essentially how you get clients, right? So when it comes to the process and the strategy we have for social media, it's very different in the way we deal with the clients. When it comes to clients, it depends on the client. So we don't really have a say in that. If a company comes and they say, we want a plus size model, we can do that. If a company says, and we want any type of beauty, we can do that. Because we are pretty much working with them.
We are delivering.
But that's the same
Exactly.
industry standard, isn't it?
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's AI or not. If it,
So-
you know, you have to work to the client's brief.
Yeah, so we find quite interesting that we are turning this conversation about beauty standards when we are entering an industry that already had this standard set. And when you're trying to enter an industry, I cannot come setting trends. I have to come, be part of it, and then I can make a change once I'm relevant. But if I'm not relevant, I cannot really make a change. I'm not going to gain any attention.
And it's not only that. We believe that it should be treated as art in a way where we do not compare ourselves to art. I would not compare myself to a statue or a painting. And sometimes we need to we need to remember that she doesn't actually exist. She's digital. She
think
comes
that's
in the
what's
play
important.
only when we need her.
Well,
thank you. We've run out of time.
We
That was
could
so
have
interesting.
we're 3 minutes over. We could have been 10 minutes over, but that was brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's so interesting. And yeah, I don't know where I sit here.
No. Thank you so much for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every single day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the morning.